नहमदुहु व नसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम अम्मा बाद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम रब्बि इश्रह ली सदरी व यस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली रब्बि यस्सिर व ला तुअस्सिर वतम्मिम बिल खैर आमीन या रब्बल आलमीन। Bi'iznillahi ta'ala, today I'm going to produce the first video of our way on the journey to learn Arabic grammar. Well, you will say, I really don't need to learn Arabic grammar because I have copies of Quran translated in English, Urdu, French, etc. Clearly, it is much better to read Quran with translation than without it. However, translation is never a substitute to any language. During translation of a language to another, we tend to lose about 15 to 20% of what we intend to convey, and in the case of Arabic, that could be even higher. It could be up to 30%. So at this stage, I would like to make two further points. Number one, Arabic is a very easy language to learn. It is highly logical and scientific language. There are clear and easily understood rules to govern the use of words and construction of sentences and phrases. So I'll say it is never too late to learn the language. Number two, our aim is going to be to learn classical Arabic, which is very different than modern standard Arabic, which is used in Arab countries these days. There are certain common principles that apply to nearly all the languages. These are levels of use of the language employed in communications. So different languages, different levels of a language could be, for example, the lowest level is that of the street language. There are no rules to follow, there are no regulations. You learn the language as you go along. And sometimes, interestingly, you can convey what you want to say even without the use of a single word. And above that street level is the level of colloquial Arabic. This style is adopted by the vast majority of the population. Certain norms are silently followed without any written rules. And then comes the stage of the formal Arabic, a language which is used in newscasting, newspapers, magazines, journals, etc. And statesmen's speeches are based mostly on formal Arabic. And above that level is that of the classical Arabic, which is really limited to old poetry and some religious books. And height of classical Arabic is Quran. Irab is a very important feature of classical Arabic, and Quran without Irab is not Quran. Some statesmen, when they want to show their chops and they want to impress their audience, they tend to make use of the Irab, but mostly they don't really bother at all. With this, let us move on to the difference between especially English and Arabic language. I will say that English is like a very old computer. You know, those big machines which used to cover most of our desk space, and we couldn't really do much with them. We could type on them, a bit of use of the internet, but not much. And the reason for that is, for example, if we change the place of object with subject in English, the meaning changes completely. While in Arabic, we can do that quite easily without changing the meaning of the whole sentence. So Arabic is actually like the latest Mac, which is, this is a highly customizable language. Let us look these examples to highlight this difference. For example, I have written here a sentence which is a translation of part of ayah number 4 of Surah Baqarah, which we all remember by heart. And the translation, the common translation is, they are sure of the hereafter. I can translate that English in 3 different ways. First is yuqinuna bil akhirah. Second, hum yuqinuna bil akhirah. And third, wa bil akhirati hum yuqinun. Yuqinuna bil akhirah, they are sure of the hereafter. Hum yuqinuna bil akhirah, they are sure of the hereafter. Wa bil akhirati hum yuqinun, they are sure of the hereafter. The general meaning of these 3 constructions is the same. However, there are minor, subtle, and significant differences between these 3 constructions. I'm not going to go into those differences today. We will, inshallah, one day we'll look at this ayah in detail. And then at that stage, I will tell you what I meant. However, I will say that this is not Quran. This is not Quran. This is Quran. And there is a reason that Allah Ta'ala used this construction rather than the other 2 constructions. I'll give you another example, which is from our day-to-day language, and that will be actually easy to understand at this stage. Let me bring that down. Here I have written, Hamid gave Zaid a book. I don't think you can see that clearly. Hamid gave Zaid a book. I can translate that English sentence into Arabic in 9 different ways. Here I have written only 2 of those constructions. Ata Hamidun Zaidan Kitaban. Second one is Hamidun Ata Zaidan Kitaban. Third, Zaidan Ata Hamidun Kitaban. And the fourth, Kitaban Ata Hamidun Zaidan. The general meaning of all these 4 constructions is the same. Hamid gave Zaid a book. However, I will use the first instruction. For example, if I enter in a room and there are 20 persons sitting in that room, and if I know that they do not know anything about this, Hamid gave Zaid a book. They do not know anything about this. This is totally new information for them. I will use this construction. A'ata Hamidun Zaidan Kitaban. On the other hand, if I judge or it's my intelligence or I know by somehow that, or if I guess that those 20 persons in a room, they are talking about it, they know that Zaid has been given a book, but they're not really sure who has given Zaid that book. So I will use this construction to clarify this confusion, this ambiguity among them. I will say Hamidun Ata Zaidan Kitaban. It's Hamid who has given Zaid a book. Hamid, not anybody else, not Bakr, not Umar, no one else. On the other hand, if I guess or if I judge or if I have got intelligence that people are talking about this, they know that Hamid has given a book to someone, but they do not really know exactly who Hamid has given the book to, then I will clarify that by saying, because I know I've got the information, so I will say Zaidan A'ata Hamidun Kitaban. It is Zaid who gave Hamid a book, not anybody else, not Bakr, not Umar. And the fourth construction will be that if people are talking about that Hamid has given Zaid something, but they do not know exactly what was given by Hamid to Zaid, maybe it was gift wrapped in such a way that it wasn't really clear what has been given. It may have been a book, it may have been a trouser, a jumper, etc. So anything. And because I know that information, because I'm sure of it, so I will say kitaban a'ata kitaban a'ata Hamidun Zaidan. It's a book which Hamid has given to Zaid, a book, not anybody else. Not a jumper, not a trouser, nothing else, only the book. So that's the difference between these constructions, depending on really the context, the ground reality, how much people know, how much they want to know. And in the case of Quran, when we have to translate ayah, quite often we will have to know the context. We will have to know the ground reality, the history, who are the audience, how much do they know, who is the speaker, what is the aim of the speaker, is the speaker going to bother to clear that or not, etc., etc. So all that really is important when we have to translate ayah of Quran from Arabic to any other language. So with this brief introduction, let us move on to make a formal start of learning classical Arabic, and that is going to be with the alphabet, like any other language. So I have written these here. If I ask you how many alphabets do we have in English, you will quickly say 26, because we all know that. If I ask you, those who speak Urdu, that how many alphabets do we have in Urdu, and we'll have to think a little bit, and then someone will say, okay, 37. As somebody once said 50, but clearly they're not 50. In Persian, we have 35. In Arabic, we have 28 or 29. Now, you will say that earlier I made a statement that Arabic is a very easy language to learn, and here we don't even know whether the number of alphabets is 28 or 29. So how is that going to work? That really is not a big issue. That is the difference between two schools of Arabic grammar, Basra and Kufa. And the difference is very small, and I'm going to highlight that difference in a minute. Let us first move on to, these are all considered to be consonants. And with consonants, we also need vowels to make words. In English, we have A, E, I, O, U, etc. And in Arabic, we have these in the form of certain markers. And you can wipe that off. And those markers are, they're called Dhamma, Kasra, and Fatah. Dhamma, which basically means to bring together. When we say Dhamma, so we bring our lips together. So you see how logical it is. Dhamma. And Kasra means to break, as in breaking a glass, a plate, etc. So Kasra, when we say Kasra, it appears as if we're going to break a smile. And Fataha, 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 to mean open. So when we say Fataha, we open our lips. just like Surah Fatiha, which is the opener of Quran. Well, Fatihun is opener and Fatihatun is female opener. So Surah Fatiha is the opener of Quran. So these are three vowels. And there is another marker which is called sukoon. It is used to make a word silent. So these are called harakat, and this is called sukoon. If we double these, then they're called tanween, tanween dhamma, tanween kasra, and tanween fatha. It's called tanween. In English, we can translate nation. That gives the sound of N at the end of an Arabic word. We join consonant and vowels to make words. For example, the first revelation, Ikra, Ikra, Ikra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. Ikra, you read. So in this, at this stage, I think I would like to highlight the difference between Alif and Hamza, because here, if you see, these are 28 alphabets, but you can't really see any Hamza there. And that's basically is the difference whether the alphabets are 28 or 29. For example, if I write here that, and that. So here there is only one alif, the rest are Hamza. And the reason for that is this is alif and the rest are Hamza. When we put these markers on alif, whether it's fataha, dhamma, or even actually sukoon, marker of sukoon, then it doesn't remain alif. It is considered to be Hamza. And when there is no marker on it, then it is alif. And ancient Arab used to use alif for both these purposes. So basically, really, the total number of alphabets is 28. Hamza is a later invention. So we use consonants and vowels to make words. So this is one of the words. And another word, if I write insan, human, insan. So here we will see that this is what looks like alif is actually Hamza because it has got this marker of kasra on it. And here on this alif, there is no marker. So this is Hamza, this is alif. Another word, kitab, kitab, a book. So there is no marker on this alif here. So this is alif. This is not Hamza, and there is no Hamza in this word. Another easy way to make out whether a word will have a Hamza or alif, when we write insan without, for example, without these vowels. So insan, so alif never comes at the beginning of a word. It will be in the middle or the end of a word. So if you see something like alif at the beginning of a word, it will always be Hamza. It will not be alif. So that's very important distinction to make. While we are on these words, if I write another word here, fi, which is very commonly used in Quran, fi, fil earth, for example. in the earth, which means in. We. So I have these 4 words here. Among these, this is verb called fail. In Arabic, these 2 are nouns called ism in Arabic, and this is called harf. Well, we have previously seen huruf al-hijab, which are alphabets, but this terminology of harf is different from that harf. So this harf has got a meaning of its own, but it needs something else to show its meaning. On the other hand, these other words, they have meanings which are quite clear without the use of any other word with them. So these three words basically, verb, noun, and harf, we have used here. One last point, that I have not put anything here at the end of these nouns. In Arabic, 85% of the words will have tanween at their end. Only 15% don't. So if I put tanween here, I will be probably okay, because 85% is a significant portion of the words which will take tanween. So insan then will be fully vocalized as insanun. Kitab will be kitabun. Certain words, they do not have tanween at their end. For example, Yusuf. So it will be Yusufu. Another name, Ibrahim. So that will be Ibrahimu. We will learn them later on. There will be one lecture on that. But for the moment, an important point to remember is that 85% of the words in Arabic take tanween and the last harf of the word. So with this, I'm going to stop here. Bye for now, and next time, inshallah, we will start right from here. See you next time. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik.